What's up, everybody? Ron Placone here, reporting for Status Coup. So, as you may already be aware, I have been very active in the effort to stop KOSA. KOSA is the Kids Online Safety Act. Now, this bill has gotten a lot of support in the Senate. Joe Biden has expressed his support for it. Other entities that support KOSA, the Heritage Foundation, which is a right wing organization that has affiliation with the Koch brothers, and Ted Cruz. So, little bit of background. Now, the Kids Online Safety Act sounds like a noble thing, right? Who doesn't want to keep kids safe online? Of course, that's something we all want. However, this bill doesn't actually do that. This bill, in reality, is a censorship bill that, in particular, wants to censor LGBTQIA information from young people who may need it. It also infringes on young people's privacy in a very, very harsh way. And it could be incredibly harmful. Maybe it's a young person who's trying to escape a domestic abuse situation. So this bill is not good. This bill went to committee and it did make it through committee. We thought it likely would, and it did. So that's the bad news. The good news in all that, though, is that during the hearing, various members of the Senate, including Ed Markey, expressed serious concerns about the impacts this would have on privacy and the LGBTQIA community. Even Ted Cruz didn't sound all that confident when he was talking about it. Now, Ted Cruz, of course, doesn't have any concerns. Ted Cruz doesn't care, but he sounded like, yeah, I know there are some concerns, but and when Ed Markey was expressing his concerns, Ted Cruz was scrolling angrily on his phone. If you could track that down, it's actually quite a sight to see. But during the hearing, Ed Markey was expressing his concerns, and you saw like Ted Cruz scrolling angrily on his phone. So that indicates that they're not quite ready to put this bill to the floor yet. And they know that there's been a lot of controversy surrounding KOSA. We've covered a lot of that here on Status Coup. Check out those videos. But it did make it out of committee, which is very concerning. Recently, a member of Congress really kind of laid it out when it came to KOSA in the best way I have seen any elected official at the federal level do it so far. And this was Maxwell Frost who did that. Well, Maxwell Frost, I don't know a ton about the guy, but he is the youngest elected member of Congress. He's also an organizer and a musician. He's only 26 years old, and he was elected when he was 25, the first member of Gen Z to be elected to federal office. And we're going to dive more into him in a second. Let's just look at this statement first. So this is from Evan Greer at Fight for the Future, who, full disclaimer, is a colleague of mine at Fight for the Future. And she says, breaking, Maxwell Frost, the youngest member of Congress, comes out swinging against the deeply misguided and dangerous Kids Online Safety Act, explaining how extreme right-wingers like Governor DeSantis, oh yeah, that's another person who loves this bill, by the way, Ron DeSantis, would love to use such laws against LGBTQ people. All right, so check this out. Let's read this statement. Thank you for taking the time. This is from Maxwell Frost. Thank you for taking the time to share your thoughts about kids' online safety. Our democracy only works when we get involved, and your input strengthens my ability to fight for our community's shared values in Congress. It is an honor to work alongside you to promote a more just and equitable Central Florida, the community that I've called home my whole life. As the internet becomes increasingly integrated into children's daily lives, experts have expressed concern that internet applications might prematurely expose kids to content that can harm their mental health or threaten their safety. We can do more to enhance internet protections for kids, and Congress should develop guidelines for online service providers that preserve what we love about the internet while keeping kids safe. Proposals that involve filtering or identification requirements on sites like the Kids Online Safety Act would have unintended consequences that undermine our goal of an enriching and educational internet experience and far exceed their benefits. They jeopardize kids' privacy through increased data collection and promote inappropriate parental surveillance, which can keep children experiencing domestic abuse from seeking help. Governor DeSantis has championed these policies as a way to censor LGBTQ plus content like LGBTQ plus mental health resources and HIV prevention information that can be essential to kids' well-being. Also, a side note, the Heritage Foundation tweeted the quiet part out loud recently, and they said, yeah, we support this bill because we want to censor information for transgender youth. We want to stop them from being able to get resources online. So getting back to the statement, Instead, I support proposals that shape the underlying design of online services commonly used by kids, including social media and video game platforms, to better serve them. These include requiring providers to default to the highest privacy setting possible for minors, ending algorithms that push children toward inappropriate content, using clear, concise language that kids can understand for terms of service, and further limiting and securing the collection of children's data. We deserve an internet that works for all of us, especially kids. I think that nails it, especially at the end. So, in that last paragraph, he's basically calling for better data privacy laws, which at the end of the day, that's the root of all the problems people complain about on social media. When people complain about privacy issues, when people complain about content, kids seeing content that maybe they shouldn't be seeing, all of that has to do with data privacy. And the answer is not censorship. The answer is data privacy. Why? Well, because the way Facebook works and the way pretty much all social media works, they want to keep you engaged on the platform. They want to keep you on the page. So they will feed you things that feed whatever bias you're going down. So if you start going down a conservative news rabbit hole, they're going to keep feeding you more and 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 more conservative news. They want to keep you engaged on the platform. That's what they want. They just don't want you to click away. That's why Facebook suppresses links to outside sources. So, better data privacy would make those algorithms null and void. It wouldn't allow them to just keep feeding you content to keep you on it, and instead just give you an honest user experience where you'll just find whatever it is you're searching for, and you can still find what you're looking for. You don't need them to keep pummeling you with related stuff in your feed. Now, why don't we pursue better data privacy protections? We being the federal government and lawmakers. Well, because that would hit the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world in their pocketbook, and they have a ton of lobbying influence. That's why. That's why. The entire TikTok hearing, it all could have been summarized as, well, we're going to pass better data privacy protections. But no. We can't do that because that would hit the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world in their pocketbook. That would hit Mark Zuckerberg in his pocketbook. That would hit Elon Musk in his pocketbook. And big tech has a ton of lobbying in government. So, so let's dive into Maxwell Frost a little bit more, because I don't know much about the guy. And sometimes when you don't hear a ton about somebody in Congress, just as a side note, when you don't hear a ton about somebody in Congress, that could be a good thing, because that means that they're actually working in their district. That means they're not interested in being a Twitter celebrity as much as they are in actually doing work on their district. I know that's a rare thing, but it's a good thing. So let's just dive into this guy a little bit. Again, 26 years old. Now here he is on the issues: Medicare for all, being prepared for a pandemic, environmental justice, which I believe he supports a Green New Deal. Yep, Green New Deal and Thrive Act. Youngest member of Congress. Interesting. Again, not super familiar, but he's definitely on my radar now. And folks, another thing you can do is make your voice heard. You know, again, as of right now, KOSA did get out of committee, which is bad news. The good news is they're a little rattled with it coming out of committee, which means it's probably not going to go to the floor anytime soon. We need to be as loud as possible to demand that this bill not become law. They already know KOSA has some stigma attached to it, which is going to kind of rattle them. It's going to kind of make it more likely that they're going to shelf this thing. We've stopped bills like this in the past. Please, let's keep the momentum going. Go to StopCOPPA.com. Reject online censorship. Tell lawmakers to oppose KOSA. Urgent. Lawmakers have reintroduced the Kids Online Safety Act, a dangerous censorship bill that would give the government unprecedented control on the internet. KOSA won't make kids more safe. Instead, it'll put youth in danger by preventing them from accessing resources they need. Lawmakers concerned about online safety should reject KOSA and instead work to protect all internet users from abusive tech companies by passing a federal data privacy law. Send a letter to your lawmakers now and tell them to reject KOSA. Again, that is StopCOPPA.com. StopCOPPA.com, StopCOSA.com, and that is a petition with Fight for the Future. And of course, folks, you can catch me on the road. You won't be hearing from me for a little bit because I'm getting ready to go to Edinburgh. I'm going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival August 16th through 27th. My shows are at 4 p.m. daily at the venue 32 Below in the Little Cellar. If you're going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, just check my website for more information. I'm part of the free Fringe, so you don't have to get tickets in advance. Just show up, ronplacone.com for more info. And, you know, I've been saying it. There have been Status Coup listeners at every single show I've had so far this year. But this is going to be the big test because we're going international. I want to see some international Status Coup folks. See you in Edinburgh. And October 21st, I'll be back home right in my neighborhood. I'm doing a comedy series in San Pedro with different headliners, including myself. The first show is myself and Stephanie Blum, and that show is on October 21st. You can get tickets at my website, ronplacone.com. And again, stopcosa.com. We got to be loud. We got to keep up the momentum. And this is Ron Placone for Status Coup signing out.